sick leave and paid family leave for families to have those opportunities to raise their kids. That we make sure that we focus on holding government accountable, right? We have way too many instances where, particularly with the Flint water crisis, our government has not been held to the highest standards, that people have not had access to the documents needed to hold our governor and our legislature accountable. Finally, to fix the roads. We've had this debate for many years now, but we need to finally get something done to make sure that we have a lasting infrastructure here in this region to create good-paying jobs, to attract businesses, to create an economic environment that does benefit both businesses and families and workers. So my hope is in this election, we have a very, very important choice. It's either we are on the side of working families or we are on the side of business as usual in Lansing, and that hasn't been the case. For me, that I think business as usual is a good thing. We need to make sure that we're focusing on working families again, and hopefully I can earn your support in this election in the 23rd House District. And for all the young people in the room, if you are interested in getting involved in a campaign, let me know. We'd love to have your support. We need you because this is the best way, I think, to get involved and make a change. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandy. Good afternoon. My name is Bob Howie, and I'm a candidate for the state rep in the 23rd District. Election day is rapidly approaching for voters in the 23rd District. We face a very important decision. Who is the most qualified candidate to serve as your next state representative? I appreciate this opportunity to share with you the reasons why I am the most uniquely qualified candidate. To begin, my role as Trenton City Council person, past chairman of Trenton DDA, and a member of SEMCOG, Southeastern Michigan Council of Governments, has given me firsthand knowledge of the experience and the real challenges our communities are faced with each and every day, including budgeting, economic development, roads, and infrastructure, and keeping our communities safe and secure. This experience has broadened my perspective on parks and recreation and programs for our youth and for our seniors. Additionally, my experience as past president of the Trenton Rotary Club, past president of the Trenton Hockey Association, past chairman of the Maha District 2 Michigan Amateur Hockey Association, which encompasses both Wayne County as well as Monroe counties. These efforts advance my leadership skills to help people in need and inspire the youth. It is crucial that we adopt common sense policies to move Michigan forward. Number one priority for our state is creating jobs, which is necessary to continue developing a strong, robust, sustainable economy. My experience as a business owner for 25 years downriver gives me the insight necessary to make the right decision to move towards that goal. Also, as a longtime business owner, I understand the results of hard work, actually creating good paying jobs in both the private and public sectors. My second priority is education. As a parent of 4 children, a spouse of an educator for 27 years in public schools, I know firsthand the importance of sufficient funding for our schools. It's imperative we properly address the funding formula, and we continue to focus on increased student achievement for all of our students so they can succeed in life. In addition, we need to make higher education more affordable by limiting university tuition increases. Our third priority is roads and infrastructure. Again, my qualifications and experience as an architect and builder provide me the background to fully understand what is necessary to maintain and to replace our aging roads and infrastructure. In closing, being married to my wife for 27 years, raising 4 awesome children who are responsible and respectful, I have lived life lessons, life challenges. My faith and family have given me the strength and the compassion, instill values, and the personal responsibility in everyday life. If elected, you can be assured I will hit the ground running in Lansing. I believe all of the attributes I've shared with you make me the most uniquely qualified candidate. It would be an honor and a privilege to serve you. Thank you.
Well, let's give a round of applause to all of our speakers, all the candidates today. And we know that there are additional candidates who weren't able to make it, and so we hope that you will look very closely at what each person stands for, how that aligns with your values, and make sure that you vote. We'd like to once again thank our sponsors, including the Great Lakes Steel, the News Herald, and the Down River Community Conference, who were not able to have representatives with us today. So we've got a few announcements, and actually there are a lot of announcements, but we've already taken some time, and I want to have a chance to go through some questions. So I'm going to buzz through these really quickly, and then I just want to let you know that this flyer is over on that table along with some other flyers with some events, but this is a listing of everything that's going on at the Chamber. We're getting down to the end of the year already, but you can pick up one of these, and then all further information is on our website about everything. I do want to mention that the After Business Hours is coming up this Thursday, and it's going to be at Comfort Suites on North Line Road in Southgate. We hope that many of you will be there. We have a special treat. We've got Kathy Kane, who will be doing a presentation during the board meeting on social media, and if any of you are interested in sitting in on that, you could come and feel free to do that. Kathy will also have a table at the After Business Hours, so if you have specific questions that you'd like to get answered and some things that you want to know about, feel free to talk with Kathy about it at that time. And most of the time you're going to have to pay for this information. You're going to get it free on Thursday. We also have, coming up on October 5th, is the Reflections of Italy tour, information meeting. That tour is coming up next year in October. We have a really good information meeting coming up for that on October 5th. We also have our Morning Spark coming up, and I want to mention that Manufacturing Day is coming up on October 7th, and this is connecting students with employers and businesses that are part of the Detroit area rich manufacturing history through facility tours. This is going to take place on Friday, October 7th, and for more information, you can contact Lisa Gordon at WIN, Southeast Michigan, or Malin Wagner is here. If you raise your hand, Malin, let us see where you are. He can answer questions for you today as well. So if you're interested in finding out more about that, either from a business perspective or from a student's perspective, please speak with Malin. We have coming up also in October on the 19th, the third in our series of Women of Achievement, and we have Christine Stesny Ridenour, who is the president of Beaumont Hospital in Trenton, and she's going to be our speaker for that event. That's going to take place at the brand new Bentley Conference and Event Center, and that's where the Down River Italian American Hall used to be. They've really remodeled it, made it beautiful. So you might want to come just to see that if you weren't even interested in the speaker. So it'll be, but she's going to be a really fabulous speaker. So please look at the flyers on your way out. I don't want to take any more of your time. I do want to recognize the students and our sponsors. So students, if you would stand up when we call your school. Riverview High School is sponsored by Caesar Capital Management. Riverview, you're welcome. St. Francis Cabrini High School is sponsored by Zeal Credit Union. Gabriel Richard High School, sponsored by the Trenton Trib. And Southgate Asher High School, sponsored by SEMCA. We are always looking for sponsors for our high school tables. We think it's very, very important for the students to be able to be here, to experience the speakers, to learn a bit about the government in our state and in our local government, and also to kind of meet with business people and get a feel for those kinds of things. So if you are interested in sponsoring a student table, if you give Mary a call or shoot her an email, she she will be more than happy to sign you up. As the school year moves on, we'll have more and more tables. We're really happy to have 4 student tables here in September when school just got started. So we'll have more and more student tables as the school year goes on. We're always looking for sponsors. It's just $125. That's just enough to cover the lunches. We don't ask the students or the schools to pay for their lunches here today. So let Mary know if you can help us in that way. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and see what questions we might have here. And I know that, and we're not going to be able to ask everybody every question, so I'm just going to do, we've got about 10 minutes, so I'm going to ask a few questions, and I am going to, first of all, we had a few on the transit. I wonder if there's anybody who might like to address the transit system and what's going on with that. Anybody got some ideas? Okay, you want to come this way?
Good question. What's his name?
Okay. Well, this one, there are several about transit. What would you do to improve public transportation problems?
The thing I would do to improve the transportation problem is look for where the funding is needed more. I can only say for the city of Detroit, when it comes to Romulus, I think we do need a high-speed transportation between the airport and the city of Detroit. I kind of find it to be very much nonsense that we don't have that like the other major cities do. Why should we just have to catch the regular bus just to the airport where the buses only last from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. That's kind of a trouble issue. So say if I was inside the Michigan House of Representatives, I would bring onto the floor a bill to create a mass transit system of a bus line that kind of rides on the freeway to Romulus, just to connect Detroit with the city to the airport. So that's my idea, and also inside my platform. Thank you very much.
Anybody else have anything to add? Okay, then, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. You are short. Petite.
Good things come in small packages.
You betcha.
So having lived in 2 states that have a much more robust public transportation system, I think that we all have, there's a ballot proposal that we're all going to be looking at in November. And I think that it is a good start for public transportation. We aren't going to be, at this juncture, we're not going to be New York or Chicago or Boston or even LA. But we do need to address public transportation so that people can get to jobs that are not necessarily in the city. Or if you are from out county or from other areas, get to jobs that are in the city. So I think that what's being proposed is a very good start. I personally would love to see much more coverage and connectivity through downriver, which is where we all are and live, and many of us work and play. But to have that beginning so that we can really help people get to work, so that they can become more functioning members of the economy, because not many people, there are people who do not have cars, they don't have access to cars because having a car in the city is expensive because of the burdensome rates of insurance for if you live in the city. And so having that inequity addressed with good, strong public transportation, I think is very necessary in our state. As well as connectivity to other areas, so out to Ann Arbor, so that if you went to a Michigan game, you could get there easily, or out to Lansing. I would love to be able to read bills on the express bus. I used to do homework when I lived in the suburbs, going to school in Boston, I used to get my homework done on the express bus. So I actually know that this is very functional. It's just we just have to learn how to live with both an auto industry, a very robust auto industry. The things aren't mutually exclusive, having cars and having good, strong public transportation.
Okay, this question is specifically for Bob and Darren, and this person wants to know what you would do to help solve the Van Horn train situation. Who wants to go first?
Well, thank you, Sandy. Clearly, that's an important issue. It's not only an issue just for transportation, it's an issue for life safety. But when you take a look at that particular crossing and grade separation, it's very complicated. It involves the government as well, because it's the railroad, but it's going to involve the state, and it's going to involve the local communities. But clearly, it's going to take some work, and we're going to have to roll up our sleeves to get it done. Everybody's just been kind of kicking this can down the street, and I don't think it's fair from the folks in Woodhaven, folks in Trenton, and really most of, including Groseal. I mean, the time it takes, the traffic jams, look at all the lost time. People are standing there in their car, idle, waiting for the trains to go by. So I have already reached out. I've reached out to the folks from the federal government in Chicago. I've told them my 2 cents about what we need to do. I've also reached out to the state of Michigan. So clearly, that would be something that would be on my radar if I'm fortunate to be elected. Thank you.
For those of you who live in Woodhaven or Trenton in that area, this is the #1 issue that I hear talking from folks at the doors. Because not only is it a major inconvenience, it is definitely in the way of emergency services. With Beaumont Health being right there, there could be life or death situations that come into play. So currently the project is about $15 million short of what we need to actually kickstart this grade separation. The idea would be that we create an underpass underneath the railroad tracks so that we actually have some movement constantly flowing through that area so we're not constantly idled by. The project has started. There are some funds allocated to this, about $15 million, but it costs $30. I've been in constant communication with the project manager of this. I'm also really close with Representative Debbie Dingell, who is our advocate in Washington for federal grants on this project. So being someone who has those relationships already with those who are working on this, I know that I'll be able to leverage those, make sure that we get our resources into this community, into this project, and finally get the job done. I know that people have been talking about this for decades in some cases, but I do know the local leaders, I do know the federal leaders, I know the county leaders. I have those relationships already, so being someone who is in that position, I know that we'll be able to finally bring people to the table, sit down, find the resources that we need, and hopefully get the job done.
Okay, here's another one I'm going to be asking for volunteers. This person says, is competitive electric price important to you? If yes, what are your ideas to make Michigan move from the highest cost in the Midwest? Anybody? Anybody? Bill? Thank you.
So this may have been directed at me since I talked about energy a little bit earlier. I would say this: we have a hybrid system currently. It's 90% regulated. It's 10% open retail access. And I actually believe that full regulation is the best way to go on this. And then you figure out the rates under full regulation through the MPSC. Open retail access, Ohio is running into this right now. They're an open retail access state. Their rates are a little bit lower. I would say it's mostly because Michigan is a peninsula state. We can't bring electricity in from other places. But the point is this: they're having trouble with keeping their generation in state. In fact, they're talking about a special rate structure just for First Energy in the Cleveland and Northeast Ohio area. So I believe that the fairest way to do it is you actually go to full regulation. You get the results you want. We don't have the infrastructure here in Michigan to import electricity like they have in other areas. If you look to the UP, you can see that already. There is no link between the northern part of the state and the Upper Peninsula, and they are held hostage by the Wisconsin MPSC, and for that reason, they're running under must-run contracts for some of the old plants up there. So, and their rates are, I want to say, 10 times higher than what we're actually paying in southeastern Michigan. And that's a problem with the area itself. But competitive rates, I think you can have competitive rates statewide under a full regulation system. Some people may disagree with that, but I think we do not have the infrastructure currently in place to import electricity, and we do not want our power generators to go away. Otherwise, what do we do if a major manufacturer wants to come in-state and set up shop? Our current infrastructure was set up. A lot of it was for the high electric usage auto plants. That was one piece of it, and that's one of the reasons why we have the auto industry here today. So for the open retail access, we have 10%. That's currently full. When electric rates go up, obviously that 10% queue kind of fills in. When they go down, nobody was in it. When in 2008, when the energy policy was first enacted, there was nobody who was in that because our rates were pretty good. As other parts of the country kind of changed, and some of the manufacturing jobs that went somewhere else, we had this extra energy available. So I think we need to support the tax base here and the jobs here, increase reliability, and hopefully we'll have affordability coming too. With the coal plant shutdowns, it'll be very interesting to see the effect of that on the price of electricity, but I can guarantee you with the rush to natural gas, energy rates in other states that are under full competition, they are going to skyrocket, and there will be times when you will wish that you were in a regulated state. That's my feeling on the energy policy.
Okay, well, let's give another thank you to all of our speakers. We really appreciate you being here with us today. I want to remind you that next month, on October 24th, we will have the 4 candidates for the 2 U.S. House seats that are up for election this year, and that will be Debbie Dingell and Jeff Jones for District 12, and John Conyers Jr. and Jeff Gorman for District 13. So I hope you'll join us for that. I do want to remind the students and the speakers, if you would please, when we end, make your way over this direction for photographs, and we will close as we always do with the Pledge of Allegiance. So please stand and join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.